It's a hockey afternoon in Fitchburg, live from the Wallace Civic Center on the campus of Fitchburg State University. FATV presents coverage of Monty Tech Fitchburg Bulldog Ice Hockey. And tonight it's the season finale of the Bulldogs. And who better a team to finish your regular season off against than the team you started the regular season against? It's the Monty Tech Fitchburg Bulldogs taking on the Gardner Wildcats. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Daniel Volak. Happy to have you along with us here today. Bulldogs come into this game with a record of 10-9, 6-5 in the Coughlin Conference, coming off a tough 4-3 loss to Drake at Tingsboro on Tuesday. Kyle Gendron with a goal and assist. Noah Johnson, Chris Stefanillo found the back of the net. Tucker Watkins with 2 assists to set up the goals by Gendron and Johnson. It was great work by him as well. Benji and Gavin Roy both had assists. Owen Richard, 40 saves in what was one of his best games of the season. It was a bit of a tough loss for the Bulldogs. Talking with Coach Noah Saracen, the vibes were not too bad after that game and coming into today, because the bigger takeaway, rather than the goal with 2 minutes left that tied it that maybe shouldn't have been, was that we played really well against this team that is statistically a lot better than where we are. And if we can hang with that team, we can hang with any team. So that's actually a bit of a confidence boost for the Bulldogs, coming out of that game with an overtime loss where you would have thought on paper it could have been far, far worse. Meanwhile, for Gardner, they were able to take senior night in Gardner by a score of 9-5 on Monday night against Leominster, to put them to 10-8-1, 5-6 in the Coughlin, and guarantee that for the third consecutive season, the Wildcats will be dancing in the postseason. Jaden Patel and Mason McDonald each had 2 goals. Josh Crotty had a goal and 2 assists. Gavin Richard, Mason Decker also scored, had an assist as well, and Caden Mihalovic also had a goal. There's probably another goal in there somewhere that I couldn't quite find. But nevertheless, Gardner played the game they needed to, put up 9 on Leominster, and they are a very strong offensive team. 92 goals this season for the Wildcats. They're led by Gavin Richard. He's got 20 goals, 11 assists for 31 points. Jaden Patel is also quite strong. He's got 13 goals and 12 assists for 25 points. And can't sleep on Aiden LaPointe, junior out of Quabbin, 10 goals and 11 assists for 21. Cullen White has 10 goals as well to add to the tally. So does Josh Crotty's 9 goals. There's a lot of great scorers that Gardner has at their disposal. Looking at Monty Tech Fitchburg, they've got some players who can match. Kyle Gendron's got 30 points on the campaign. Tucker Watkins has 29. Benji and A's got 21. Austin Haas has had a solid 14-point campaign. Jackson Leader, 13 assists. Some great offensive numbers for the Bulldogs. In goal, this is the 3rd game in 4 days for Monty Tech Fitchburg, and they're going to be using their 3rd different goaltender over this stretch. Matt Daigle played on Monday against East Hampton. Owen Richard played on Tuesday against Drake at Tingsboro. So it's only fitting that Easton Minardi will get the nod today for the Bulldogs against this Gardner side. For Gardner this year, they've been tandeming with 2 netminders in Kevin Thompson and Cohen Vayu. Those two, both senior netminders. The last 5 years, Gardner has had the benefit of having an extremely solid and strong netminder in Mark Quinn, but he finally graduated last year. He's on to Worcester Academy now and shooting some tremendous videos and photos out there in the world too. And so for the Wildcats, they had to try to fill that huge hole. They've been tandeming Kevin Thompson, Cohen Vayu pretty evenly throughout the season. Both of them found the net on Monday on senior night in Gardner. It's going to be interesting to see how those two hold up today against this strong Monty Tech Fitchburg side. When these two teams met back on December the 14th in the season opener, it was a 7-4 win for Monty Tech Fitchburg, a high-scoring, high-event game. We may be in for another one here today. This is also the last day of the regular season, really, in all of the state. Any games that are played after today will not count in the power ratings, and the playoff seedings will be posted on Saturday. This is the last chance for both of these teams to try to strengthen their positions in the power ratings. Monty Tech Fitchburg came into Tuesday 21st in Division 4. The rating goes up a little bit with the result over Drake at Tingsboro. Meanwhile, Gardner's most recent game on Monday would have been after the game against Leominster was played and entered in. So therefore, Gardner could use this game to improve their seeding a little bit. Same for Monty-Tech-Fitchburg. It'll be interesting to watch. We'll let you listen into the starting lineups in the national anthem. Public address announcer Jim Lapointe.
At forward, number 6, Kaden Mihalovic. At forward, number 13, Michael Lucas. At forward, number 15, Josh Crotty. And in goal for the Wildcats, number 31, Cohen Vayo. The head coach for Gardner is Scott Frenier. Now for the Bulldogs, starting on defense, number 27, Charlie Calero. Defense, number 2, Alex Armstrong. At right wing, number 23, Nick Atkins. Left wing, number 12, Kyle Gendron. At center, number 11, Austin Haas. And in goal, number 30, Easton Minardi. The head coach for the Wildcats is Noah Saracen. Officials for today's game, Eric Steinberg and Chris Riley. Ladies and gentlemen, students, at this time, I'd ask you all to please stand as we honor our nation and the flag with the playing of the Star-Spangled Banner.
Just about ready to go here from the Wallace Civic Center in Fitchburg. Final game of the regular season for these two teams, the Monty-Tech-Fitchburg Bulldogs and the Gardner Wildcats. Daniel Bolak here with you, Isaiah Manuel on camera. Happy to have you along with us here today. Starting goal for the Bulldogs, we mentioned Easton Minardi, making his 12th appearance, 7-4 record, 2 shutouts, 281 goals against, 885 save percentage. On the other side, Cohen Vayu, making, if I've counted the stats correctly, in my reverse engineering of their statistics, his 11th appearance, 363 goals against, 793 save percentage. This Gardner team is pretty good at limiting shot opportunities. They've only conceded about 373 or so shots across the whole season, so that's under 20 a game. They're pretty solid in that department. And Monty-Tech-Fitchburg will be hoping to break through in that regard, get some chances, try to pepper Vayu. Bulldogs will move from left to right in the home white uniforms with red numbering and trim. This may be the very last time they ever wear these uniforms in a varsity game. Gardner is in their road black uniforms with orange numbering, not a shade of white to be found on those jerseys. There's a shot to goal from the left circle, 34 seconds in. Parker Tyler took the shot, I believe, or maybe it was Josh Crotty. He's the one who's leading the handshake line. Just turned around, threw it at the net, and it found its way in. And just like that, the Wildcats have the first strike. And now here's the Bulldogs on a breakaway. Janae was tied up quite badly there. Hooking's going to be the call. Crotty got the goal, and I'm never going to get the assist out of that. Hooking is the call against Hunter Barlow, so he goes to the box 10 seconds later. And the Bulldogs will have the first power play of the contest. Obviously, that was a penalty he had to take there. Otherwise, Jene would have had a breakaway on Veilleux. And what a momentum shifter that could have been. Wildcats have 5 skaters on the ice. That is an issue. And Jim LaPointe mentions it's 5-on-4 to remind Gardner, yeah, somebody's got to come off there. So let's see how the Bulldogs power play works here. Here's Charlie Colaro holding at the right point on for Tucker Watkins. Rotating around, tries to find Colaro again, hopped off his stick. Crotty backhands it out of the zone, down the ice. Gavin Richard, alternate captain, will stick it down the ice. Colin White and Jaden Patel are the captains of the Wildcats. Hunter Barlow, Gavin Richard, Josh Crotty all wear alternate captain patches. It's a senior-laden team. Gardner has 12 seniors. Here's Watkins, right side, tries to sneak it near side post on Veilleux. He's able to shut the door there. 1:17 to go on the power play, 13:30 to go in the first. Already Gardner up by a goal to nil. Watkins continues to skate around, looking for somewhere to shoot. Try to shoot it through traffic, never made its way all the way down to Veilleux. And Gardner's able to clear it down the ice. You can see Richard with that strong forecheck on the penalty kill. Coming in there, intercepting that pass, although 3 Bulldogs are there to dispossess him. Bulldogs carry it up. Watkins gains the zone, is able to hold on to the puck, loses his footing, but that one was by himself. So now a 2-on-1 developing for Gardner, which was broken up there. That was Gendron able to get his stick in there, the former Wildcat himself. He gets the shot on Veilleux. Veilleux didn't quite have it as cleanly as he thought he did. Eventually was able to cover it up, but I guess that got dicey for a moment. 12:48 to go in the first, 32 on the man advantage. Mentioned Kyle Gendron played for this Gardner Wildcat side as an 8th grader during the pandemic. Gardner's an 8 through 12 school, so they can use 8th graders by right. They don't need a waiver for it. They do have 3 8th graders on the varsity roster. As on the left circle, shot save, rebound loose in front, Veilleux scrambling around. The puck bouncing around, just hopped over a stick on the right side. I think Gendron was ready to put it home, but it just hopped over the blade. That close to tying it up. 10 seconds to go on the penalty to Barlow. Gardner is able to get hold of the puck, send it right back down the ice. Jackson Leader recovers behind his own net. Penalty expires to Barlow, he's out of the box. Gardner back to full strength as Tucker Watkins holding in his own zone. Being pressured there by Cade Mihalovich. That's dumped in down the ice, bounces off the boards onto the left side. Gardner couldn't get on top of that to try to get that shot turned towards goal. Dumped down the ice, will not go for icing, never makes its way to the goal line. Pulled out by Tyler Orcutt. Stretch pass to Mihalovich is out of his reach, and that one will go for icing. 11:44 to go in the first. Matt Daigle, one of the other Monty Tech Fitchburg goalies, also played for Gardner as an 8th grader. But then, of course, if you live in much of this region, you know, if you live in Gardner, obviously, and if you live in the schools served by Narragansett, Murdoch, and much of Quabbin, the other schools in this co-op that Gardner serves, you have the option of going to Monty Tech after you finish 8th grade. And some players do choose to do that. There are a number of players from that region playing for Monty Tech today. As Stefanillo with a shot stopped by Veilleux. Rebound is loose to the left side as he couldn't quite get his glove on it quickly enough. Gardner able to get it out of danger. There's Mihalovich, gains the zone, whiffs on the pass. Got it back though. Wires a shot wide to the left. The left circle knocked out of the zone by the Bulldogs. Here's Jackson Stubbard up the center of the ice. Lost the handle and now dumped down. Near side, Aiden LaPointe in pursuit. Now Barlow will wire it on target, punched into the netting and out of play by Minardi. 3 minutes, 57 seconds gone in the contest. 1-0 to Gardner. On Josh Crotty's 10th goal of the season. Both these teams do have a lot of seniors, And these teams will be very different next year. Between them, 22 seniors, 21 playing in this game today. The last regular season game of their careers, both of them have at least one more game in their careers in the playoffs. That'll start next week. On the right side, puck lost by the Wildcats right in front of Minardi. He's able to get his glove down and cover it up. A couple more fresh legs will come onto the ice for the Wildcats. Matt Whaley and Mikey Quinn. Mikey Quinn, part of the prolific Quinn family who have played for the Wildcats. 4 brothers in all. He's the last of the 4. We mentioned Mark earlier, who was also part of that group. We'll now try to move it around the board to the right side, taking the right circle by Gardner, trying to settle and try to get a shot on, but just couldn't really get the puck settled. A lot of sticks, a lot of players in the way. Gavin Richard with a steal, but he's immediately harassed by 2 different Bulldogs, Watkins and Johnson there, try to bully him off the puck. Battle 1 on the near side, and now here's, that is Watkins coming up the ice. Couldn't be sure if it was Watkins or Atkins for a moment. The puck came around to the near side, nothing they could do with it that time. Now on the right side, shot taken by Whaley is stopped by Minardi. He'll hold for a draw with 5:05 gone. Of course, the seniors also relate to the goaltenders. Every goaltender who's on the varsity roster is a senior. So the Nets are going to look very different next year. Face off to Minardi's left. Won by the Wildcats, but the shot more or less whiffed on. Moved harmlessly towards the left wing corner. Austin Haas trying to nutmeg Michael Lucas. He had none of that. Jaden Patel back in his own end for Mikey Quinn. Skate around, try to stretch it up. Will do so on the right side. Here's Patel into the zone. Couldn't finish the move, turned around, got a shot off. That was stopped by Minardi. Had to go for the second option after the first option didn't quite go to plan. Atkins tried to feed Haas, and now Gendron tries to stick it along behind the net. Quinn, near side corner, along the boards for Lucas. Out of his reach, down the ice it goes. Armstrong in pursuit. He'll gather it. Throw it up for Gendron, touches on the right side of the red line, so no icing. Jack McCrillis moving it around, right corner. Try to clear it, Austin Haas got his leg on it. Second attempt from Mihalovich is successful. Wildcats get it out of the zone. Up the ice they come, all the stick work, and left there, and a great shot. Barlow was able to follow on the pass from Justin Hawk. But Minardi sticks right with them. Back down the ice it goes, 8:35 to go, first period, 1-0 Gardner. Josh Crotty with the lone goal, 34 seconds into the contest. Shots 5-3 right now in favor of the Bulldogs, however. Backhanded down the ice. Colin Bean trying to win that puck. Barlow looks to center. That's left behind the net. Calaro fighting for it. Gets a hold of the puck. Bounces off the boards. Try the self-pass and move it up ice. That doesn't go to plan, and neither does Barlow's pass down the ice. Misses everybody. Goes for icing. Got a draw to one side of Cohen-Bayou. 8:03 to go in the first period. Bayou and Thompson splitting the starting job this season. They've played pretty much the same number of minutes. After years of diligent waiting behind Quinn, they gets the shot this time, and there's a chance there from Jackson Leader. That was stopped by Bayou. He shouldered it away. Wildcats moving it up ice, up the center. Here's Crotty. Tried to leave it off, but nobody there in black for Gardner. Noah Johnson decked into the boards. But the elbow came up a little high on that hit. That's what signaled that Monty Tech Fitchburg's going to go on the power play. being on the near side, being on this particular side of the ice, the press box is where the visitors are, you can hear that a strong contingent of Gardner fans have made their way to the Civic Center today. And they expressed their displeasure with the call. Gavin Richards sits for 2 minutes. .740 to go in the first. Gardner up 1-0. So our officials, Eric Steinberg and Chris Riley, talking with Jim LaPointe. Checking in on something there. See if we can get that straightened out. Draw comes to the left of VU. Second power play of the game for the Bulldogs. Kalaro from the right side shoots off the skate of Patel. Roughing is, or well, whatever the call is, I'm pretty sure it was elbowing there, but nevertheless.
Please do not use air horns during the game. Thank you.
At one point you heard, in reaction to that call, an air horn go off, and Mr. LaPointe would like to remind everyone that air horns are not allowed at high school events. It's a shot out in front, saved by VU on the redirect by Giadet, and the follow-up is turned aside by the Gardner defense, and down and out of the zone. There's a steal by Patel, a shot rises high over the net, and as Minardi went to try to make that save out of desperation, he knocked the net off its moorings. His momentum took him there, and the moorings and the net came loose. The face-off will come to one side of him. Break for Gardner. I'll tell you, that net over there on the left, based on how it's gone the last couple of days, has been demonstrably evil. They'll move the face-off out of the zone. Leader trying to feed it up to Gendron, but he had a lot of Wildcats surrounding him. Now a steal here. Here's Crotty. Tries to wait out Minardi. Great shorthanded chance. Crotty was looking for his second. Now Leader trying to get around Mikey Quinn. Goes in the right wing corner. Two Bulldogs there to keep the puck away from Kane Mihalovic. 30 seconds to go on the man advantage. 6:07 to go in the first. Turnaround shot stopped by VU or off the side of the net, and further action sends it into the netting and out of play. We mentioned both these teams will be playing in the postseason next week. Almost certainly both teams will be on the road. I can't really see a path where either team could get enough points to get into the top 16. There's quite a bit of a gap up there. But both are safely in the top 32 and both safely in the field with their 10 wins. I don't see either team falling out of the top 32 either. On the right side, off the stick of Watkins, he picks it up. A little open space to shoot there, and he shoots and he scores! Tucker Watkins on the power play is able to equalize for Monty Tech Fitchburg, and he's smiling like a butcher's dog. Able to pick up that puck on the right side after it floated off his stick. He's able to get it back, and all the Wildcats were trying to guard the slot there. I think there might have been an air horn from the Monty Tech Fitchburg side in retaliation, and obviously they talked with Coach Saracen, and they're going to see if they can get some crowd control to take care of the illegal devices that have been brought into the Civic Center today. And I hear a Gardner fan trying to snitch on one of the Monty Tech Fitchburg sides. I'm pretty sure I heard the original air horn from over here, although the later one may have came from over there. One of the officials comes off, talks with one of the staff members here at the Civic Center, makes it clear that these devices have to be confiscated. not the most positive thing to have on the last game of the season. I know some fans like to support their team, so that's not the way to do it. Tucker Watkins has his 15th goal of the season. Makes it a 1-1 hockey game. Stefanillo at center of the ice, able to keep hold of it.
Assist number 17, Jackson Leader. Time of that power play goal, 9-12, first period.
Leader gets the lone assist on Watkins' 15th of the year. It's Leader's 14th assist of the campaign. A tremendous puck distributor is the junior from Fitchburg High School. Stefanillo with a takeaway for a moment. He had a clutch takeaway in the Drake and Tingsboro game, leading to his 3rd goal of the season. That's kept in the zone, and now taken again by Stefanillo, the other Fitchburg High student on the varsity roster. Now left behind, Jackson Stubbert trying to move to the left side. A stick goes flying. Sticked around and it flutters towards Vayu, and he'll cover for a draw. 4:50 to go in the first. Shots 8-4 in favor of the Bulldogs. Said Gardner is going to be in the playoffs for the 3rd straight year. They had a number of seasons in the late 2010s in which they were going no wins, 1 win, no wins, 1 win, maybe a 3-win season somewhere in there too. They struggled for a long time, but finally found a resurgence in the last few years. 3 consecutive trips to the postseason, actually made it to the round of 16 last year. As that puck's out in front in the paint. But again, no Wildcats could get their stick on it. They've had some opportunities, but the finishing just hasn't been there in this contest thus far. Watkins dispossessed. Johnson trying to follow up on the right side, keeping on the boards. Now picked up near side by Lucas. Pushes for Patel. To the right side, Cullen White. To Barlow. Now the left side, turnaround shot hits the side of the net. Battling behind the Monty Tech Fitchburg net, finally pulled out by the Bulldogs. Moving up ice and now taken away. Right side, shot high. It's Gavin Richard, I believe, who had that release. Maybe that was Mihalovic. Nope, it was Richard. The 8 and the 6 sometimes look a little similar with this number font. Not a terrible look that Gardner's got. Some outlines might be useful, though. These are relatively new jerseys, too. I think they're only about 3 years old. Be a little while before we see new ones. Shot from the right side, sticked away by Minardi. And that ricochets into the netting. You know, for Monty Tech Fitchburg, this is actually going to be the 5th year in a row that they've made the postseason. And the 5th season. Of course, they didn't make the playoffs in 2021 because there weren't any. But they would have been a pretty solid contender had there been playoffs that year. That was a very good Monty Tech Fitchburg team. 8-3-4. And they got to play a whole lot more hockey than they were expecting because they were only promised 10 games, but they got to play 15 because they were so good at keeping themselves not sick. Gardner trying to regain the zone with some numbers. There's a shot off the leg of a Bulldog. Out to the near side, nice poke there by Austin Haas. He's got some space. He shoots, kicked away by Vayu. Off the boards to the near side, settled down by Crotty. Now he's got Richard with a burst of speed. Gavin Richard with the moves, hit the post. 20 goals already this year for Gavin Richard. One of the best forwards around. Takeaway there, and Crotty tried to feed him again. That's going to be an over and back, and immediately Whaley knew and he retreated. Keeps the play alive as that shot is fought off by Vayu. Coming from the left side, I think Armstrong had the release. Here's Atkins in the right corner. Mihalovic right on him. 2 minutes to go in the first period. 1-1 the score. Shot from the left side, Gendron with the release. Now Calaro tries to shoot it from the right boards. and Richard just dumps it down the ice, and they'll take the icing. Going back to Gardner, last year they actually were able to pull off an upset in the Division 4 playoffs. Took down North Reading, the 13 seed, 2-1. They went on to the round of 16, got to go down to the Cape Place Sandwich. Well, or thereabouts to the Cape, because I think that game might have been in Bourne, which is, I can't remember if Gallo Arena down in Bourne is actually on the Cape side or the not Cape side. That puck changes directions 4 different times on its way to Cohen-Bayou, but he's able to get on top of it and cover it. He's got some words for the Bulldogs. 10 saves already for Bayou in this contest. Bulldogs with 11 shots. We mentioned that Gardner coming into today has done very well to limit the shots. Like it's about 370 in 19 games. I can pull out the calculator and tell you exactly how many that is a game. It's 19 and a half. So the Wildcats may be thinking they might be giving up a few too many shots for their own good. So they try to jam it away on the right side. Puck came all sorts of loose, and I believe the net did as well. 86 seconds to go in the first in a 1-1 hockey game. The Vancouver Canucks, when they score a goal, play this song. Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds. Curious goal song, but they make it work. It's a fun story about how that song got recorded too, if you're into that lore and history. Anyway, on the right side, Aiden LaPointe feeds it forward. Shot saved by Minardi, and he'll cover up for a draw. We've had a lot of face-offs too in this first period as well. A lot of stoppages of play. Draw comes to the left of Minardi. Battle 4-1 by Patel. Threw it through the slot. Nobody there to get a hand on it. Out of the zone, Hunter Barlow dumps it back in. And we're in the final minute of the first period. Definitely seen a bunch of action already. These two teams combined for 11 goals the first time they met in the first game of the season. Obviously, they've matured a lot and learned a lot over the last 9-10 weeks of the regular season. Is on the right side. A shot knocked down and made its way to Minardi. He kicks it away. Off the skate of Watkins, but he's able to retrieve it himself. Gets around one man, gets around a second man. Now pass it off. Find Matt Daniels with some free space up the far side. Try to pass it back to Watkins, but that was knocked away. Gardner trying to go in transition. Barlow backhands it into the zone. Michael Lucas trying to pursue. Taken now by Barlow. Barlow throws in front, trying to settle. Patel couldn't get a shot away. 5 seconds to go in the period. And Noah Johnson will just play keep away, brings it to the red line, and time will expire. Hunter Barlow wins the puck from him, but about 2 seconds too late, and that's the end of the first period. Definitely plenty of action in the first 15 minutes. Power play goal for Tucker Watkins. Before that, Josh Crotty in the first minute of play. Able to strike for each side, and through 15 minutes play, it's a 1-1 hockey game. Monty Tech Fitchburg did well to come back from giving up the early goal. Drew a couple penalties. Were able to capitalize on one of those power plays. Also kept themselves out of the box. That was something Coach Saracen definitely said was something they needed to continue to work on and try to continue to improve on, is their discipline. Try to stay out of the box. Don't put themselves in positions where you can let this Gardner team get a man advantage and get a superior position. Although, we'll talk about this a little later on in the contest, but the last time these two teams met, that wasn't actually a problem for Monty Tech Fitchburg. If anything, the problem was dealing with, was Gardner dealing with the Monty Tech Fitchburg penalty kill, who had quite the game back on December the 14th. We'll talk about that more as the game goes on. For now, through 15 minutes of play, it's Monty Tech Fitchburg 1 and Gardner 1. Take a break. We'll be back in the second period soon enough, so don't go away. This is Monty Tech Fitchburg Ice Hockey on FATV. Back here at the Wallace Civic Center on the campus of Fitchburg State University. One period in the books between the Monty Tech Fitchburg Bulldogs and the Gardner Wildcats in the 2024-2025 season finale for these two teams. It's a 1-1 hockey game. Daniel Bolak here with you, Isaiah Manuel on camera. We're happy to have you along with us here today. Gardner wasted no time in getting on the board. First shot of the game, 34 seconds in. Josh Karate able to turn around in the left circle and throw it past Easton Minardi to make it a 1-0 lead for Gardner. Held it for much of the period, but Tucker Watkins able to take advantage of way too much space and time on the power play and fire one top left corner over the shoulder of Cohen Veyu. That tied it at 1 with 5:48 to go in the first, and that is where we stand. Shots 11-10 in favor of Monty Tech Fitchburg. And we talked about it already. Gardner has been pretty solid at protecting their goalies and limiting shot attempts. They average only 19.5 shots conceded a game, but they've already conceded 11 in the first 15 minutes. They didn't really count the shots in the first meeting between these two teams back on December the 14th at Gardner, so we don't really know what the shot totals were in that particular game. So we don't really know if this is like, compared to the last time these two teams met, if that's a high number for Monty Tech Fitchburg, if it's too low, or maybe it's just right. Nevertheless, 1-1 through 15 minutes of play. Only 2 penalties in that first period, both committed by Gardner. Second one led to a power play goal for the Bulldogs. Both teams have had good chances for Gardner. The big thing I'm noticing is just not getting the finishing. Like in the critical moments, the puck rolls off the stick. That's something that's happened quite a bit. Something they've got to deal with, and maybe something they'll try to improve on as the period in the game goes on. For Monty Tech Fitchburg, they did well to battle back after conceding that very early goal. Other than that, not sure what. I guess they've got to do a little better at trying to stop the Gardner chances. I know Gardner's got a lot of very solid players, but not a whole lot of bad they did in that period. Now both teams want to come away with the victory, give themselves some momentum as they get into the postseason. Seedings again come out on Saturday, and sometime next week we'll find out where these two teams will go. Could be sent far away, could be sent close to home. I mean, you know, Lunenburg's in that area, roughly where these two teams could meet. Could face them for the third time this year, either of these teams. Monty Tech Fitchburg goes from right to left in the second period in the home whites, and Gardner in the road blacks go from left to right. Charlie Colaro, right side, up for Haas over his stick. Settled down by Barlow, dumped back in. Gardner tags up. Colaro gets the puck, realizes they are back on side, so he's got to work on playing it. Actually lose it, throw it in front, scores! It's Josh Crotty again! From the left side, 30 seconds into the second period. (2-1) to Gardner. What can you say? He's got a knack for that. First shot on target in the first period, found the back of the net. First shot on target in the second period, finds the back of the net, and Josh Crotty's got 2. Senior from Gardner High School, one of the alternate captains on this team, giving this side the lead. Mason Decker gets the lone assist. The junior from Murdoch with his 10th helper on the season. And on that feed, Gardner scores again! "28 seconds later, it's Mason Decker who finds the back of the net. And it's a 3-1 Wildcat lead. I was just saying, really the big thing that Monty Tech Fitchburg's got to work on is trying to prevent Gardner from getting in that close and giving them prime scoring opportunities. Those two shots came in very close. Karate's from deep in the left circle. Decker even closer. Two goals in 28 seconds from Gardner, make it a 3-1 lead. Fed to the right side, shot well wide, but off the backboards, and Minardi's right on top of that. Taking a dangerous bounce off the blade of Tyler Orcutt. Definitely nowhere near the record for fastest consecutive goals by the same team in this matchup between Gardner and Monty Tech Fitchburg. 2 years ago when these two teams met here in Fitchburg, the Bulldogs scored 3 times in 13 seconds. That almost sounds impossible, but I assure you it did happen. You can find it on YouTube. After all, we were here, we did the game. We've got it on video. It helped that Monty Tech Fitchburg was on a major power play, so all 3 of those were power play goals too. Believed to be one of the fastest instances of 3 goals, really in state history or even in high school hockey history. Numbers in for Gardner, but not legally. Offside is the call. 13:19 to go in the second. 3-1 Gardner in front. Face-off will come outside the zone. Bring the draw to the near side. Austin Haas to face off against Caden Mihalovic. Haas wins the draw. He's pushed off the puck, but he's able to get to it in the left corner. Stick on it, turns around, pressure. Fed out to the left point, Armstrong. His shot off a stick over the net, over Cohen Vayu. Stays in play on the right side. Bulldogs try to settle it down. Haas going behind the net. Attempting to double back. Off the boards near side, swept away by Armstrong. Just keeps it out of danger around the boards again, behind the net. Now pinned in the boards. Claw 4 on the right side. Pops free, now to the point. Wired towards goal, goes wide of AU. And a trip there against Gardner. It'll be a cross-check officially. And we'll see another power play coming with 12:18 to go in the second. Tyler Orcutt sits for 2 in the bin. And power play number 3 coming for Monty Tech Fitchburg. They are 1 for 2 on the man advantage. Definitely use this opportunity to pull themselves back up within 1. Battle back from the early goal in the first period to score on the power play to tie up the game, but now they've got a little bit of a bigger deficit to climb out of. Here is Tucker Watkins up the left side. Watkins moved, set in front. Great feed, but couldn't get the finish. Jackson Leader falls down, trying to keep that in the zone. Was able to keep it in. Left corner finally dug out by Gardner. Fed all the way down ice and on target. Kicked aside by Minardi. Charlie Colaro leading the reset with the self-pass. Uses his speed, gets to it on the right side. Turns around, he's sent into the boards. That was not legal. A 5-on-3 is coming. Gavin Richard goes to the box here. Got to check to see what the call is. .11:16 to go in the second period. 3-1 to Gardner. Just a 2-minute minor on the board. In that position, if the official chooses to call boarding, it's an automatic 5 in high school. But that wasn't the call made. So Richard will just sit for 2 minutes or less. 2-man advantage for 59 seconds for the Bulldogs. They win the draw. Calaro, the right point off for leader. Has trouble reading it off the boards. Is able to keep control of it. Now pass to the right side. Now throw it in front. Off the heel of the stick of Gendron. Couldn't get the clean release.
2-minute minor for boarding. Time of the penalty, 3:44.
Yep, Hunter Barlow in the box. Now in front, another chance for Gendron. Got all blade, but just no accuracy. Another chance, scores! Beautiful follow on there on the rebound. The Bulldogs have their second power play goal of the contest. Tucker Watkins leading that. (3-2) the score now. And still 1:20 to work off on Barlow's penalty. Is that shot from the right side saved by Veilleux. Now loose in the paint. Veilleux down. Puck squirts out of the slot and out of danger. Alex Armstrong on his horse to get to that puck, beat Cullen White to it. Now here's Armstrong up the right side.
13, Tucker Watkins. Assist number 17, Jackson Leader. Time of that power play goal, 4:17, second period.
Same as the first one. Jackson Leader with the assist. Here's Watkins with the moves again. Keeping control of the puck, 45 seconds to go on Barlow's penalty. Sent all the way across with time, and Gendron hits the post. Calaro keeps it in at the right corner of the blue line of the zone. Shot by Haas, knocked down in front, backhand shot, goes wide. Maybe Veilleux got a piece of it. Top of the right circle, into the corner. Back to the right circle again, 20 on the man advantage. Shot stopped by Veilleux. And no rebound this time. Tucker Watkins has 2 goals in this contest. Josh Crotty's got 2 goals in this contest on the other side, but Mason Decker's currently standing as the winner, but still a lot of hockey to play. 9:30 to go in the second. 3-2 Gardner. 10 on the man advantage. Calaro through traffic, fought off by Veilleux. He got a lot of it. It trickled past him, but it also missed the net. That close now, right out in front. Trying to follow on that disrupted pass was Calaro, but he couldn't get Goodwood on it. Goodwood's been hard to find, really, for both teams. Here's Gendron, closed off by 3 different Wildcats. Puck still loose in front, save, rebound! Great stops by Veilleux. Keeps Gardner out in front. 16 saves already for the senior. As there's a shot on the other side, stopped by Minardi. He was looking in the wrong direction off the rebound. Had no idea where it'd gone. Bulldogs come back the other way. Haas tries to make the moves. On the right side, players tumbling down to the ice. Wildcats fans demand a penalty. It will not be given. Watkins. So good at keep away. Finally dispossessed Gavin Richard, though. A couple extra years of experience. It's the one to dispossess him. Armstrong's dump-in attempt was blocked down in front. Second effort eventually gets a pass off, and someone else can complete that job, dumping it in. Fresh legs come on the ice for Monty Tech Fitchburg. Mishandled pass, Stefanillo gets a stick on it, but nothing more than that. Aiden LaPointe playing it on to the near side. Now settle down, shot sticked away by Minardi off the stick of Justin Hawk. 7:50 to go in the second period, 3-2 Gardner in front. 5 goals in this contest, and I suspect there's going to be some more. Another shot blocked by Gavin Roy, and he's on his horse. And now they use all the way out there to the top of the circle to knock that away. Well played there to disrupt the breakaway. Sometimes goalie's got to do what he's got to do. Now Jackson stubborn on the right side, dumps it around the boards. But a good read knowing there's a loose puck there, everyone racing for it. The goalie got there first. Cascade Mihalovic to the left side, LaPointe can't keep it in. That's over and back. Gardner's got to tag up. They will do just that. Knocked down in the neutral zone. On the near side, pass misses for Mihalovic, goes past the goal line, and icing is the call with 6:55 to go in the second. Both teams have pretty young coaches. Noah Saracen, part of the class of 2016 of Monty Tech. Second-year head coach for the Bulldogs. Scott Frenier in his 7th season for Gardner, a 2012 graduate of Holyoke Catholic. That school doesn't exist anymore. They merged with Springfield Cathedral, and they're now Pope Francis. Shot from the left side blocked. Cullen White trying to follow on, but that was knocked away. Whiffed on there. Puck settled down in the neutral zone. Bounced off the boards. Good move by Jaden Patel. Gains the zone, can't do anything more with it. Players getting tangled up as the puck stays in the Monty Tech Fitchburg zone. Out to the near side off the boards, down the ice. Will not be icing, was obtainable. It will go all the way down, but it went past Barlow and out of his reach. Barlow shakes off a check and moves it up on the far side, but sticked away again. That was Watkins, who's everywhere for the Bulldogs. And much to the dismay of everybody in the Coughlin Conference, Watkins is only a sophomore. Penalty coming against Monty Tech Fitchburg. This will be the first of the contest. Cohen Veilleux is making his way off for the extra attacker, but he doesn't make it to the bench before the call is made. It is a hold against the Bulldogs. And we'll see the first power play for Gardner in this contest with 5:45 to go in the second. Now, I talked about the last time these two teams met, Gardner had a no good, horrible, very bad time on their power play. As on their power play, Monty Tech Fitchburg scored 4 goals. Kyle Gendron had 3 of them, all shorthanded goals. You have to think that's something they've had to have worked on over the course of the season.
2-minute minor for holding. Time of the penalty, 9:15, second period.
Thrown out off a leg, down the ice. You see Gendron there racing with Mikey Quinn to that puck. Quinn's got the positioning, he'll get there first. Hold it behind his own net. Wildcats will reset with 30 seconds gone on the man advantage. Here's Richard in the zone. Richard with moves. Richard creating a breakaway, trying to make his way to goal. Minardi stuck with them, and then the net came off. The nets do come off pretty easily, especially the high school nets. That's more of a player safety thing than anything else. You're crashing into a big, heavy metal thing. If it moves away, that will dissipate some of the impact and help to mitigate some of the injuries that could be sustained by young, healthy, growing human beings. 1:12 to go in the man advantage for Gardner, their first power play of the contest. Pass there, trying to feed Benjiane. Hopped over his stick, and he couldn't get it on the second effort either. So Jaden Patel will get it back in the zone. Wild wire it past, bounces off the boards, quite lively. Minardi tracked that one, and out comes back behind the net for Karate. Already 2 goals for Karate in this contest. Shot from the left side goes wide. Patel will pick it up. Down the boards in the right circle. Karate trying to move it along. Not much on that. That'll ride the boards and out of the zone. 30 seconds to go on the man advantage as Veilleux will come out and paddle that down. Here is Barlow into the zone. continuing his run. Near side, LaPointe. Karate, back to LaPointe. 8 on the man advantage. Playing in deep there, shot is stopped by Minardi. Watkins gets a hold of it, kills off the rest of the penalty. Out of the box is Armstrong, back to full strength are the Bulldogs, trying to hit a home run pass. They've got a two-man breakaway developing here. Watkins, he shoots and scores! Tucker Watkins has the hat trick on the two-man breakaway to tie the game at 3. Getting the fast lane, Grandma. The Bingo game's ready to roll. Try to hit that stretch pass to one of the Bulldogs who was actually changing off of the bench. And the new Bulldog onto the ice couldn't get to it quickly enough, but was able to get on top of it. And then come into the zone with Watkins, fed him to the left side, and able to get it past Veilleux. 3:34 to go in the second. It's a 3-3 hockey game. Now the officials are talking it over here. And I think Veilleux was appealing that maybe it should be offside. Or maybe there was some other issue that he had. Like, was the puck first touched by a Bulldog while he was still standing on the bench? Had not come quite onto the ice yet. I don't think that was the case. Waiting for the call. It will be given. Scott Frenier will get an explanation from the referee.
Assist to number 11, Austin Haas. Time of the goal, 11:26, second period.
Haas gets the lone assist on Tucker Watkins' third goal of the game. He's now the team leader in scoring. He's got 17 this year. Of course, the Gardner side is not terribly happy with the call. And now the Gardner fans are particularly incensed. I could at least hear one of the officials tell Coach Frenier, that's your warning. Well, the conversation ended there. And from here, for the second time in this contest, the official has got to skate over to crowd control or somewhere else. Now he's actually skating over to the near side net. And check the net over there, make sure everything's okay there. Now, whatever was perhaps the case on that particular goal, I personally saw nothing wrong with it, but then again, I am biased, so I may not be the best judge to that. We have a penalty coming up here as a Wildcat is tripped behind the play. And I think we're actually going to get one on each side. Someone on the Gardner side is going as well. Caden Mihalovic is skating over. Charlie Colaro's in the box for MT-FHS. 3:08 to go, second period, 3-3 game. Our officials will discuss what the next course of action is going to be here. I saw at least Colaro trip up a Wildcat well behind the play. That was clearly a penalty. But something else happened. I don't think it was with actions. It may have been more with words than anything else. It appears upon further review, they're actually going to eject Kalaro. I'm going to be very curious to hear what the disciplinary report is here from Jim LaPointe. But Kalaro has been ordered off the ice. He's been given a 5-minute major. Kane Mihalovic has been given 2.
That penalty is on number 6, Kane Mihalovic. 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct, taunting, and a 10-minute misconduct. Bulldog penalty on number 27, Charlie Calero. 5-minute major for head contact and a disqualification. Time of the penalties, 11:52, third period. Second period.
So they've called Kalaro for direct contact to the head, and he's been disqualified. And that's particularly bad for Kalaro because that's his second disqualification. So that means he's going to take no further part in this game. He's automatically suspended for at least the game, the playoff game, and I think there's even worse discipline that's assessed with a second disqualification. I will double check the MIAA handbook during the intermission, but a major and a minor does not cancel, so we have to play 4-on-4 for 2 minutes, and then a 3-minute power play will come for Gardner. But here's a 2-on-1 developing for the Bulldogs. As here's the shot by Gendron is gloved by Veilleux. The contact by Kalaro, I thought it was more of a trip, but I only saw it out of the corner of my eye. Just saw a Wildcat go down to the ice, and as suspected with Mihalovic, it was words that led to him sitting in the box for 12 minutes. So another Wildcat had to actually skate over to serve the minor penalty, but Mihalovic has to sit for 12 minutes. So 4-on-4 for minute 15. This has been a very interesting hockey game. Many twists and turns, and we still have 17 more minutes to play. Near side, here's some great moves. A shot goes just high. Had trouble seeing if that was Richard or Patel. It's Richard, I can tell now because I can see the alternate captain patch. 8 and 9 are tough with this font. Shot saved by Veilleux. Loose out in front. Fallen on by a Wildcat. And finally moved along. Gendron, I think, wanting a call because his stick was also lost in all of that. Wildcats get into the zone. 30 seconds to go on the 4-on-4. 1:35 to go in the second. Austin Haas, he shoots just wide. Watkins following that. What's out of his reach goes to Cullen White. Gavin Richard, stick handles into the neutral zone. White battling with Watkins. White wins the battle, but is dispossessed by Jackson Leader. Talented junior. Stretch pass will be waved off on the icing as GNA was able to get the touch on it. Around the boards to the near side. The Wildcat serving the penalty is out of the box. That was Cody Ablaza, one of the 8th graders, one of 2 wearing the different unis. Wraparound chance falls off the stick there. So we're now in the final minute of the second period. 2:30 to go on the major power play. As here is Watkins, already with 3 today. He shoots, saved by Veilleux, and that has to be a penalty there for sure. Oh my goodness, Veilleux is just throwing hands there. Absolute frustration boiling over in this contest with 27.2 to go in the second. And there's no way with how Veilleux reacted there that he's going to be allowed to finish this game. Kevin Thompson is already on the ice stretching. There is no... It's the last game of the regular season for these two teams. There's still a playoff game to be had. And now Veilleux ordered off the ice. His night comes to an end. Played pretty well, 19 saves on 22 shots. But the way he reacted there after all of that was not acceptable. Watkins driving to the goal, Veilleux made the save. Contact came there, and the retaliation was, I think, disproportionate, but the way that he was on top of him looked like he was actually throwing punches. I think there are going to be some more disqualifications handed out here. I think Eric Steinberg and Chris Riley are going to have to do paperwork after this game. Everyone's least favorite thing. And you know, coaches Noah Saracen, Scott Frenier now have to appeal to their players for calm. We can't have any more of these shenanigans. We've already seen multiple players ejected. It looked like Ben Giannet was thrown out as well. And remember, with a disqualification comes an automatic suspension, meaning that anyone who's disqualified cannot play in the first playoff game. There's been a rule in the past that has also said anyone who gets disqualified and has suspension going into the playoffs can't play in the playoffs at all, but I think they got rid of that rule. Again, more work that I've got to do during the intermission. I've got to pull out that MIAA handbook. Gonna have to do some reading. This has been a topsy-turvy, strange game with lots and lots of frustration. It's the last game of the season. Both these teams are going to make the playoffs, and they're probably going to make the playoffs with a couple less players than they started this game with. Our officials continue to try to get everything straightened out. Tell Jaden Patel, please get away from here right now. Can you not be near the Monty Tech Fitchburg bench? Let's not incite anything further. We'll call you over when we have the penalties, and then we'll explain it to you all what happened. 27.2 to go in the second period. It's a 3-3 game between Monty Tech Fitchburg and Gardner. I imagine about 1 million penalties are going to be assessed for the last run of play. Jim LaPointe's got a lot of work to do. He's got to do paperwork as well. He's going to write all these penalties in, and he's going to have to announce all of these penalties. It's going to be very frustrating. We're probably going to be seeing a couple of disqualifications out of what we just saw. As it looked like we had actual punches thrown after Tucker Watkins drove to the net. Here are the penalties.
5-minute fighting major and a disqualification. Wildcat penalty number 7, Tyler Orcutt. 2 minutes for third man in and a game misconduct. Bulldog penalty on number 15, Ben Giannet. 5 minutes for fighting and a disqualification. All the penalties were called at 14:33 second period.
So there you have it. Cohen Veilleux and Ben Giannet both called for fighting. You don't see fighting in high school games. So both of them will not be allowed to play in the playoff game coming up. They've both been disqualified. That's an automatic one-game suspension, as we mentioned. It's worse for Charlie Colaro's DQ earlier in the contest, since that's his second DQ of the season. And Tyler Orcutt gets a minor penalty for third man in, and he was given a game misconduct, so he's been ejected from the game as well. For all of that, Monty Tech Fitchburg should actually get a power play out of this, because that penalty's got to go on the board. They will get a power play out of this, but it's eventually, because there's still 2:20 to go on Colaro's major. So it's going to be 20 seconds of 4-on-4, and then actually, no, there's not going to be a power play. That's not how math works. Excuse me. It's going to be 2 minutes of 4-on-4, and then Gardner will resume their major power play for 20 seconds, barring any further shenanigans. And Coach Frenier is actually talking with the couple of the fans that they've actually got to stop with the yelling towards the officials and everything. Obviously, it's been a very spirited game in the best ways and in the worst ways. There's been a lot going on in this contest. We have seen 4 ejections. We have seen 3 disqualifications. We've seen a misconduct. We've seen a lot handed out in this game. And we know there are going to be a few players who are not going to get to play in that playoff game coming up. And now more frustration and stuff happening on the far side. I think Veilleux had some words for the fans. This game has been in some ways a lot more than I think the players and everyone else have bargained for. So 27.2 to go in the second period. It is a 3-3 hockey game. Kevin Thompson is going to finish the game for the Wildcats and will most likely start the playoff game in the round of 32. Thompson, senior out of Quabbin, 344 goals against, 837 save percentage coming into today. And that was a very interesting way of restarting play. The referee just threw the puck down. It said, okay, now go. Here is Hunter Barlow, gets around, gets the shot off. That's gloved by Minardi. I have never seen a face-off like that before, where the official just throws the puck down, and then neither team contested the face-off, maybe because they didn't think that was going to be the face-off. Gendron able to poke it away, but is he going to have time to test Thompson? Clock's going to expire before he can. There's the buzzer. And that's the end of the second period. That was one of the most tumultuous second periods that I think you're ever going to see in high school ice hockey. 2 goals in 28 seconds for Gardner to give him a 3-1 lead. Tucker Watkins completes his hat trick with a power play goal and a second goal 7 minutes later. And through 2 periods of play, we have a 3-3 hockey game with some later benches for the rest of the contest. One of the weird things, before the game, talking with Coach Frenier and Coach Saracen, is that, a lot of these players grew up together, were friends, played together, and all of that. There have been actions and moments where, if there are friendships between these players, some of them have forgotten about that. And we have seen a lot of animosity, a lot of anger. We saw a legitimate fight in a hockey game, in a high school hockey game. And I imagine the first key, first and foremost, for Noah Saracen and Scott Frenier is telling their teams they've got to calm down. They have got to keep their cools. The players who are disqualified are not going to be allowed to participate in the next playoff game. And I imagine the officials are probably going to be taking an even harsher tone the rest of this contest. If any more shenanigans are about to break out, they could be given some pretty heavy discipline. And one of the other rules too, I should note, if a team accrues too many disqualifications, they can get themselves thrown out of the playoffs entirely. And I imagine these teams don't want to be going in front of athletic committees and executive boards trying to appeal for why they should be allowed to play in the postseason as opposed to the opposite. Or why they shouldn't be allowed. But we're going to take a break. Hope everybody has cooled their heads. Come back, play 15 more minutes of hockey. That's the plan. And we'll see if we can get a winner, and we'll see if we can get through this unscathed. Regardless, very, very interesting second period. 3-3 through 30 minutes of play. Let's take a break. We'll be back soon enough. Don't go away. This is MT-FHS Ice Hockey on FATV. Welcome back, folks. Start of the third period here at the Wallace Civic Center on the campus of Fitchburg State University. It's MT-FHS. It's Gardner. It's been an ordeal. Through 30 minutes of play, it's a 3-3 hockey game. Daniel Bolak here with you, Isaiah Manuel on camera. If you've tuned in late, you've missed a whole bunch of stuff. Lots of things have happened. A number of players have been thrown out of this contest. I've been doing some reading of the MIAA handbook, and I'm just going to invite you all to do the same if you want to have any idea about some of the consequences some of the players in this contest will be facing for the actions sustained herein. I'm just going to leave it there, but I think it would behoove both teams to ensure that there's no more game disqualifications handed out, as otherwise you're getting into murky territory where you have your playoff tickets in risk of being revoked. So nobody wants to see that. So we're hoping this third period of action is going to be nice and clean. And these two teams have played a very good game other than that. And the behavior of the players and perhaps some of the spectators as well should hopefully not go and spoil what has been otherwise a very good hockey game. Shots 22-18 in favor of MT-FHS. Tucker Watkins completed a hat trick in the second period. He's got 3 goals today. Josh Karate's got 2, and Mason Decker's got the 3rd for Gardner. 1 minute and 33 seconds of 4-on-4 time, and then a 20-second power play for Gardner will come after that. As fed through trying to get it to Kyle Gendron. Feels like it's been so long since we've had any legitimate hockey. That's how much we had to deal with in the second period. So here's Hunter Barlow up the left side. Barlow trying to wrap it around. Gardner has scored 3 times in the first minute of each period. Once in the first period, twice in the second period. So first and foremost, the Bulldogs will want to survive the rest of this first minute. As here's Austin Haas. Up the right side, Haas turns it on towards goal, and Kevin Thompson will make his first stop of the contest. That shot whistles high, and that took a very interesting bounce. Ricocheted in a very peculiar direction, but does stay in play. Now up the center of the ice, Gavin Richard feeds it forward to the near side. Taken by Gardner. The first minute has survived, but there's still 14 more to deal with. They're just as dangerous even if Gardner hasn't yet scored in any of those in the first and second periods. Here's Austin Haas up the left side. 5 seconds to go on the 4-on-4. He's dispossessed. Barlow will skate it up on the right side. Penalty is up to Mihalovic, who is still sitting in the box, has not realized that his penalty's up. Well, actually, they didn't have anybody in the box. I don't think how that's supposed to work, but I guess it's working that way. The fifth player came off the bench. That was actually Orlot, who was in the box serving a 10. Somebody else. That was actually, yeah, Mihalovic is 10, that's right. He was serving a 10-minute misconduct in addition, so it was right for him to stay in the box. But Gardner should have had another guy in the box who should have come out of the box when the penalty was up, as opposed to playing on from the bench. There are supposed to be rules and regulations about that. But we'll leave it. It doesn't really matter. All the penalties are killed off. We're back to 5-on-5 hockey here. Noah Johnson with a nice active stick there to poke it away. Gardner able to follow on to prevent a breakout. Second chance there. Gavin has his pocket picked on the left side around the boards. Wildcats, we're going to get to it first from Whaley. He overskated it. Cullen White will pass it back to Mikey Quinn. See, we had so many penalties, I was getting all discombobulated on how all the penalties were assessed and everything. Because that 10-minute misconduct came quite a while ago. We had lots of things happen after that. Here's Watkins, 3 goals already in this contest. Puts on the brakes, turns around to the left, keeping control of the puck, finally dispossessed just for a moment though. Second effort though, gets it off his stick. Cullen White tries to break out, Watkins has it back. 3-on-2 the other way. Watkins tries to make a nifty move. Nice stick there. Matt Whaley, the Narragansett player. He's a sophomore, able to make the dispossession offside against Gardner, as Cullen White was a little late in there. And now Jim LaPointe sounds the buzzer. Now, the thing is, technically, when you don't have a guy serving the penalty in the box, you're technically not allowed to return a player to the ice if the penalty that he was supposed to be serving but didn't serve expires. And technically it was supposed to be 5-on-4 the rest of the way, if my recollection of the rules are correct. But I don't think it... I think the way it got handled is what I'd like to call a de minimis violation. It was of minimal consequence, and it really doesn't make a... It's not really an issue in the grand scheme of things. A shot from the right side, turned aside by Minardi, sent down the ice, won't be icing. Wildcats would like to get there first anyway. Sparlow around for Jack McCrillis, younger brother of former Monty Tech Fitchburg goalie Spencer McCrillis. And Spencer was also a Bulldog who played a year with Gardner as an 8th grader. Stretch on the right side, that's sent down. Behind the net, thrown out in front by Mason McDonald. He's an 8th grader. And notice Gardner has 2 jerseys that are a little different than everybody else's. Slightly older design. Actually, 3 of them, they're all 8. All the 8th graders are the ones who have those. Cody Ablaze, Mason McDonald, and Alex Smith. They're all wearing those jerseys that are, I think, from an older design set. I think it's partially coincidence, but also it just so happens those are the youngins, the 8th graders that they can use again by right, because Gardner is an 8 through 12 school. They don't need any permission or waivers from the MIAA to use 8th graders. Gavin Richard on the right side. Decker settle it down. Now re-entering the zone is Josh Crotty. He's got 2 goals in this contest. Round the right side boards. Top players out there for the Wildcats. Thrown in front and a great chance, but off the stick and wide of the goal. Sent down and icing again. 10-12 to go in the third, 3-3 the score. Mentioned the pregame how Mark Quinn, the former Gardner Wildcat goalie, is doing. Want to check in on a couple of former Monty Tech Fitchburg players. Max Bolak got his first 2 career goals with Post University last weekend. The second one was a game winner over Franklin Pierce up in Winchendon. That was really cool to see. Also former Monty Tech Fitchburg Bulldog Garrett Johnson actually got into a couple of professional games this year for the Watertown Wolves in the Federal Prospects Hockey League. It's particularly cool to see, kid who played high school hockey here in Massachusetts go on, even at the lowest level in the FPHL, getting to play professionally. Was able to play a couple of games. and really held his own there. Got a win. You know, he's a goalie, also catches with his right hand, had a vintage set of pads. Style to look vintage. Still, he was wearing those, started wearing those, I believe, his last year with the Bulldogs back in 2020, and he still has them too. That's how you know it's definitely him and not some other Garrett Johnson that may exist in the world. You know he's the right guy because those distinctive pads, you couldn't mistake them. There's a shot redirected, and delayed penalty coming here. It will be a hold with 9:09 to go in the third. Penalty goes against Tucker Watkins. Comes on the ice to ask, like, who's the penalty against? You. Aw, beans. And he slams the door in frustration. Two minutes in the discipline dungeon for Watkins. And here's power play number 3, 4 probably for Gardner. I've lost count. Bulldogs trying to move it up on the near side. Mikey Quinn. Stretch it up, missed the mark. That's going to be icing. Face-off comes to one side of Kevin Thompson. 8:43 to go in the third. Shots 22-19 in favor of the Bulldogs. Shots in this period officially are 1-0 in favor of Gardner. Cohen Mayu and Kevin Thompson split the game on Monday. That was by design, you know, senior day, 12 seniors honored. And you see Thompson makes the save there. They're splitting the game again today, but that was not by design, if you tuned in earlier.
Number 13, Tucker Watkins, a 2-minute minor for holding. Time of that penalty, 5:51, third period.
Watkins going for the hold. That's dumped down the ice, picked up by the Bulldogs around the boards. Matt Daniels settles in the left wing corner. Sees the pressure there from Gavin Richard. Round to the far side. Bulldogs able to get it out of the zone as it hops off of the stick of Mikey Quinn. Take a moment, take a breather back in his own end. Up the near side, here's Jaden Patel. Drops it on the left for Colin White. Hunter Barlow's shot cut down in front, but here's a chance, a shot, and a goal! It's a power play goal for Gardner. As the loose puck is picked up in the slot. And the Wildcats have their third lead in a contest as Colin White leads the handshake line. Be his 11th goal of the season.
Colin White. Assistant number 15, Josh Crotty. Time of the power play goal, 7:18, third period.
4-point night two for Josh Crotty, by the way. 2 goals, 2 assists. Offside. Stubbert was clearly ahead. Shoots the puck into the boards in frustration. Still a little more time on the penalty to Mihalovic. He's the only one in the box right now. We had 4 ejections in the second period. So not the only one facing discipline, just the only one in the penalty box. Bulldogs will sling it down the ice. Power play is over, so that's going to be icing. But 5 fresh pairs of legs will come onto the ice. Or 3, I guess. The other 2 were making their way, but they came to a stop. 7:12 to go in the third, 4-3 Gardner. Alex Armstrong skating out from behind his own net, out to the far side. Touch pass, looking for Haas. Now mishandled a little bit. Haas is able to get to it. Wild one towards goal, but just wide of Thompson. Around the boards to the near side. NGNA was one of the players that is not taking further part in this contest, and so they've had to change up the lines a little bit. I don't think I've seen Haas, Gendron, and GNA playing on the same line as the Bulldogs shoot and score! Austin Haas following on, keeping the play alive, and getting it past Thompson. We're tied again! Scratch my back with a hacksaw, what a game we've had. And Haas will win the draw and wire that high over the net of Thompson. Gardner's taken the lead 3 times, and MT-FHS has tied it 3 times. That puck was never covered, and a goal's been given. Thompson is incensed, but it's a 5-4 lead for MT-FHS. Kyle Gendron led the handshake line there.
4th Bulldog goal was scored by number 11, Austin Haas. Assist to number 13, Tucker Watkins. Time of the goal, 8:28.
Well, that was surprising.
It was by number 12, Kyle Gendron. Assist to number 13, Tucker Watkins, and number 11, Austin Haas. Time of the goal, 8:41, 3rd period.
Penalty is finally left to Mihalovic, by the way. His misconduct's done. So Gendron gets the goal 13 seconds after the Bulldogs tie, and they lead for the first time tonight. I have to be honest with you, I kind of thought Thompson had it covered too. But the officials have, if they didn't lose sight of it and they said it was available, then they allowed play to continue. And Gendron put it in. So now for the first time in this contest, Gardner is playing from behind, a 5-4 game. We saw 2 goals in 28 as here's a chance out in front, a couple chances. Minardi's on his rear end trying to keep that out of the net. They're still trying to set up in center. Minardi back up on his skates as that shot ricochets into the left wing corner. 5:30 to go in the 3rd. 5-4 MT-FHS. You've had to be here to believe this game. Mikey Quinn up the far side, stood up by Gendron. Gendron trying to push forward, the former Wildcat. Gets it out to the left point. That's slung on target by Leader. Whistles just past Thompson. And now here's Josh Crotty. To the right side, shot can't be released. Wildcats still have it, trying to center in front. Can't get that feed out there. Crotty pushes on to the right side, blasts through traffic by Whaley. Goes wide to the left. Hunter Barlow to the left side. Cullen White to the slot. Off of Bulldogs and down the ice it goes. 4:25 to go in regulation. 5-4 MT-FHS in front. Big hit, big steal. Saved by Thompson. And a shiver for good measure on all of that. Puck out to the right side for Armstrong. Now for Watkins, a 5-point night for the sophomore. 3 goals, 2 assists. Shot through, scores! Ryan Gavin took the shot! And it finds its way through the traffic underneath Thompson. That'd be his first goal of the year to make it 6-4. Oh, Michael Motorcycle, what a time to get that goal for Gavin. In the last game of the regular season, he's got his first of the campaign, the senior defenseman. 6-4. Now here's Haas trying to get a shot off. It whistles over the net. Bulldogs have scored 3 in a row to give their side a 2-goal lead. Big hit on the right side, now a fencing battle for the puck. Third and fourth player trying to win it there. Flipped out of the zone. Glove down by Gendron. Mihalovic trying to stand up there, but taken back. Like I said, this line of Haas, Gendron, and Watkins, we haven't seen them very much this season.
Time of the goal, 11:08, third period.
And who else but Tucker Watkins get an assist, his 6th point of the night. It's a career night for the sophomore from Sterling. Now up to 35 points on the season. He has factored into every one of the Monty Tech Fitchburg goals. He scored the first 3. He's assisted on the last 3. Primary assist on all of them, too. That shot nicely blocked there. Gavin Roy there getting across. Jackson Stubbert pulls that free. Roy tries to push it along. Now a foot race. And Roy just nudges it behind the net. 2:40 to go in regulation, a 6-4 game. Stefanillo misses the back end. Here's a leader with a shot blocked. There are 3 different pairs of Gardner legs in the way. Now here's Stefanillo behind the net. Out to the far side. Here's a turnover. Stubbert shot blocked. Leader will try again. That's patted aside by Thompson. Settle down the left side and put back in the left wing corner. 2:05 to go in regulation in a 6-4 Monty Tech Fitchburg lead. Centered through a lot of traffic, and now Matt Daniels tries to throw it back on goal. Flutters up in the air and cleared out of the zone to center. There'll be a question on whether or not Scott Frenier wants to pull for the extra attacker. There are power rating considerations to be made. That puck goes around the boards to the right, from the right to the left. Gendron battling forward on the near side. In a battle with Matt Whaley. Now here's Austin Haas into the zone. Haas skates into the right wing corner in front. Gendron turns it aside, saved by Thompson. The senior keeper staying right with it there. And Scott Frenier is going to call his timeout with 71 seconds left. 6-4 Monty Tech Fitchburg in front.
Timeout Wildcats.
If it feels like during this game, especially during the Monty Tech Fitchburg calls, I've been using a few catchphrases. I will admit, none of those are mine. Those were the great Mike Lang's. 46 years as announcer of the Pittsburgh Penguins, who admittingly is the hockey team that I support. 50 years as a hockey broadcaster, passed away yesterday at the age of 76. And I figured, why not try to pay a little tribute to him by using some of his great catchphrases. One of the best hockey announcers out there. He'll be sorely missed. .71 seconds left in this game. Monty Tech Fitchburg 6, Gardner 4. Third period has been a lot more disciplined, only a single penalty between these sides. Tucker Watkins has had quite the night for the Bulldogs. 3 goals, 3 assists. Austin Haas has a goal and 2 assists. Kyle Gendron's got a goal. Ryan Gavin's got a goal. Jackson Leader's got 2 more assists. 15 on the campaign for him. Had 13 last year. He'll be back for another year. Faceoff will come to the left of Kevin Thompson. He's made 5 saves in this contest. Off the draw, there were some issues with that. We're gonna do it again. The opportunity was too good there for Monty Tech Fitchburg, I think. It's like any transgression that couldn't go uncalled after seeing them get immediately a shot on Thompson. That time off the draw cleanly. Out of the zone, Patel tries to split past Gavin.
Last minute of play, third period.
Sent to the ice for his efforts. Near side, Armstrong. Battling with Barlow, 2-on-2 action there. All the way around to the far side, Gavin Richard tries to send it up ice. To the Bulldog blue line and no further. Back into the zone. Gendron getting around the official, tries to get around Mikey Quinn. Gavin Richard will get there to follow on. 30 seconds to go. Here's a stretch to Patel. Into the zone. High shot over the crossbar. Thompson will stay in the net. They can't risk losing another point in the power ratings, basically. As that one dumped all the way down, will go for icing. 12.4 seconds left. We saw that a couple of weeks ago when Lunenburg Air Shirley was down 1-0 to Littleton Bromfield, and they didn't pull for the extra attacker because they couldn't risk losing that point in the power ratings. And so it may be a little unusual to not see the extra attacker on in a 6-4 game, but it is what it has to be. It's reasonable. Gendron wins the draw, will skate up ice. 5 seconds to go. Gardner will hold it against the boards, push it up, but no more time to get another shot. Time expires, and ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. 6-4, Monty Tech Fitchburg takes the victory. Had to get one more in for good measure. It was quite a game, quite a memorable night in great ways and terrible ways that I imagine these players are not going to soon forget. The game considerably cooled down in the third period. We had some hockey, and Monty Tech Fitchburg was able to take over the game and come away with 3 unanswered goals after Gardner was able to take the lead 4-3. Bulldogs take it 6-4. We'll finish the regular season with a record of 11-9, 7-5 in the Coughlin. Gardner finishes 10-9-1, 5-7 in the Coughlin. And a couple of the players who were not so angry at each other, we mentioned a lot of these players are friends who have grown up together, played against each other for so many years. And you can see at center ice, there's a little bit of camaraderie there. Some of the players coming together, taking pictures, some good memories. After all, me and John Gugerty like to say, after all, we're all friends here. And it means a little more, I guess, with these two teams, with Monty Tech Fitchburg, with Gardner, so many of the same areas covered, So it's good to see, cooler heads finally prevail in this contest. And we get really the third period that, in a sense, we deserved, in terms at least of how the teams conducted themselves. But whoo boy, sure had to walk through hell to get there. Final shots were 30-22 in favor of the Bulldogs. Shots in the third period, 8-4 in favor of Monty Tech Fitchburg. Austin Haas Kyle Gendron and Ryan Gavin all getting the goals in that third period after Tucker Watkins got the first 3 for the Bulldogs. Watkins finishes with a 6-point night for the final game of the regular season. Meanwhile, 4-point night for Josh Crotty. Can't discount that. He had a great game for Gardner as well. Scored twice, both times in the first 34 seconds of a period. Then he had the Malone assist on goals by Mason Decker and Cullen White. This Gardner team played pretty well, and it was a pretty spirited game. Take with that what you will. And I imagine these two teams have learned quite a few lessons as we go into the playoffs here in the final day of the 2025 regular season. Monty Tech Fitchburg again, 11-9. They finished the regular season. Gardner, 10-9-1. These two teams will be back in action next week as they will await who they will play in the round of 32 in the 2025 MLA Division IV playoffs. But for now, we are going to call it a day here from the Wallace Civic Center. The final score for the final time was Monty Tech Fitchburg 6 and Gardner 4. For Isaiah Manuel on camera, I'm Daniel Bolak saying thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope to see you next time. Till then, so long from Fitchburg.